What's up, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm Jacob Turner. He's Andrew Jones here for another edition of our daily drop. And AJ, as promised, for those who watched our takeaways from the Bill Belichick press conference podcast that came out on Wednesday evening, we're here to talk and dive a little bit more into the quarterback situation at North Carolina, because like I said at the end of the other podcast, that is a pretty important position for any football team at any level, right? It doesn't really matter what level you're playing. If you probably need to know who your quarterback is and what he's going to be able to do for you. And funny enough, I mean, that was the first question. You got the first question in the Belichick press conference and on Tuesday, and that was the first question that you asked. So I'm going to kick it over to you. Your question obviously had a lot to do with Max Johnson and kind of him working back from his injury, because he's a guy that got hurt at Minnesota last year and has been trying to work his way back from what was a horrific leg injury for him. And Carolina's also got some talent in there, bringing in a Gio Lopez from South Alabama and a really talented true freshman in Bryce Baker. So I'll kick it over to you, AJ. What were your thoughts on the comments about Max Johnson? It didn't feel like Belichick really gave a lot away with that, or, it seemed like a pretty routine answer for him. But again, I that would have been probably the first thing I asked in that press conference, because again, that quarterback position is just absolutely crucial for your football team.
Sometimes I wonder if he has training in law, like if he ever studied law and wanted to be an attorney, because when I went back over his comments, I wrote a piece that we ran Wednesday and football quarterback room piece that we ran Thursday. Mm-hmm. And I was really listening hard. I listened to it a few times, his response to my question. And on the surface, I'm thinking, well, I think Belichick said that he's going to be ready in August. I went back and listened to it. He said, we expect to see him out there. So think about that.
Yeah, it's a little different.
They've already seen him out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw him out there April 12th, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't doing much. But we still saw him out there. So what did we really learn? Because I noted in the question, Max has periodically put out some videos in social media of himself working out. But the most recent one he put out about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was doing a lot more lateral stuff. So he was doing real quarterback stuff. Now, he didn't look like he's going to run away from a lot of linebackers just yet, but he was never super fleet-footed before, but he ran well. He was economical. Mac used to talk about how, look, Max Johnson can run the ball. He's pretty good. And I went back and watched a lot of film. It's like, he actually turned a lot of heavy rush on 3rd and 6 into first downs. He did that at LSU. He did that some at Texas A&M. Figured he would do some in North Carolina. We don't know if he's going to be as quick or as elusive. I guess I shouldn't call him elusive beforehand, but if he has diminished elusiveness now, I would expect that he would, because the injury was so horrific. But the crux of Belichick's response, because I said, is there a timetable? Will he be ready? Do you expect him to be ready? Because they only have 3 other quarterbacks in the room. And he said he's making progress. They're very proud. He said he really admires him a lot. He used the word admire because of the grind. And I think people should. The crap people used to give Max before, they need to chill with that. The guy's been grinding his butt back. Mac Brown said he didn't think he'd ever play football again. And some people thought he may not even walk again without a limp. And here he is, possibly ready to try to compete for the starting quarterback job. We don't know 100% one way or the other yet. We haven't gotten that definitives in that sense. But I will say this. I thought they were going to get another quarterback. I said it on podcasts. I said on our boards, I really think they're going to get another one other than Gio Lopez, because they had Ryan Brown. He left. And I thought they were going to add to Ryan Brown if he didn't leave, but he left. They brought in Gio Lopez, which, by the way, was a massive trade up for North Carolina.
Yeah.
Gio Lopez trumps, arrow Ryan Brown every time, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
However that works. I thought they were going to get another quarterback, because the other options are this. Max Johnson, who was limping some on April 12th, right? You saw him.
Yep.
Torrey Newkirk, who had no star rating when he committed to Carolina from the Tidewater area, but Matt Hatfield from the Virginia prep site will tell you that Torrey Newkirk is phenomenal, and I trust Matt Hatfield a lot. He's just arrived, like literally just arrived, and you have Bryce Baker, a true freshman, who arrived in January. Now, Bryce was higher rated than Drake and Sam overall in the Rivals 250, but a lot of that sometimes are differences with classes and the kind of talent classes have, but still very, very good. But is he a true freshman starter type. I don't know. I don't think so. So then you have Gio Lopez. So the reason I think they believe Max is going to be ready, because they didn't go get anybody else. There were guys out there. They could have brought in a guy with some experience, said, hey, here's $500,000. Come, be prepared to play in case. And if this doesn't work, you're our quarterback. Because all we've got is a true freshman who just showed up, a true freshman who showed up in the winter, and a guy from South Alabama. And this other dude who's working his butt off, but we don't have any faith he's going to be ready to go. That tells me that I think they believe he's going to be able to compete, or at the very least, he'll be a backup. Max doesn't want to be a backup. His dad doesn't want to be a backup, but reality changed perhaps his perspective on things a year ago. And if he's not 100% back yet, by the 1st of August, he'll probably be close. Maybe they believe at some point during the season he will. If they get an injury to Gio Lopez, they're probably in trouble, especially if Max isn't 100%. But I just have a sneaky suspicion without being told by the program, yes, that they think he's going to be ready to go and be competent, especially what they ask him to do. I don't think they're going to do nearly as much shotgun stuff. They're going to huddle. They're going to grind. And they do need to take the top off some because they got some burners on the edge. But I think it's interesting. I think it's something that makes a lot of sense if you kind of put those pieces together.
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes a lot of sense because you need bodies down there and you need guys that have experience in that room. And you're right. You could go out and get a transfer and, pay him some money to come in and be like, yeah, you might play, you might not, kind of the backup plan guy. But, if Max Johnson can get back to being healthy, I don't think you want, this is my personal opinion, some people might disagree, I don't think you want Max Johnson coming off this horrific injury to be your starter next season. That doesn't fill me with a ton of confidence.
He's 100%. Because, look,
maybe.
Jacob, look, Max is not Drake or Sam.
Yeah, he's not. No.
47 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 784 passes in the SEC. Those are not bad numbers.
It's experience, definitely experience. It's good.
Those are not bad numbers. He's a quarterback mind. Look who his dad is. Dad played 15 years in the league. 47 and 12. The number one job of a quarterback is to protect the ball. Number one job.
That's true.
Protect the ball. He did that against SEC defenses. And he did that in a couple of chaotic situations, to be honest with you.
Does the injury worry you, though? Because it was a bad injury.
LSU was chaotic. Texas A&M was highly chaotic when he was there.
Yeah, and the injury record's a little worrying, too, because, he just has – AJ, he hadn't played a lot of football in the last 5 years.
He's gotten hurt a lot. He's gotten hurt.
And that's a worry. You can't have your starting quarterback getting hurt every year.
He broke his ribs at Texas A&M.
I haven't played a lot of football in 3 years, really. He just hasn't.
He played, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the concern, too.
I don't think that you can, there's my guy, Eddie Murray, great baseball player. You can be able to pencil in about 300, hit 30 home runs, drive at 100 runs every year. You pencil them in. There's some athletes you can pencil in for stuff, okay? I don't think you can pencil in anything for Max Johnson moving forward until over the course of time and maybe a lengthy period of time, he gives you reason to do that. So I'm with you on that. What I'm saying is I think that they believe he can compete. Otherwise, they would have gotten another quarterback. That's my opinion. And I could be completely wrong with that, but that's my read on the situation. And based on what Belichick said in responding to my question on Tuesday, that was my read from what he said. Because it wouldn't do any good to say that, Max is a part of the mix if there's no chance he's going to play. At this juncture, they got nothing to gain by that. It's not like TCU is going to change their approach that much if they don't know Max Johnson's going to be out there, to be honest with you. Because they're worried about a lot of other stuff. I heard Sonny Dykes said something in an interview about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. He was asked a lot about the opener against Carolina. He said, look, we have nothing to go by. Yeah. Nothing. So you know what they're doing at TCU? They're breaking down – they have reels of individual guys on Carolina's roster that have come in from all over the place. So you have a football team that they're scouting that doesn't have 52 scholarship guys that were on the team last fall. So that means that there's 30-something left. A lot of them didn't play. So everybody they brought in, William Boone, they got to look at Prairie View tape, right? Christo Kelly, they got to look at Holy Cross tape. They got to look at Nebraska tape for a linebacker. They're going to look at Boise State tape for a linebacker. They're going to look at a lot of Washington because they brought in a lot of Washington dudes. But there's guys from all over. Gavin Gibson, they're going to have to look at Maryland and ECU. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to spend so much time looking at these guys from in previous stuff. They have no clue how they're going to fit in where they are now. So they're not going to worry too much about, I don't think they'll already have some MAC stuff. They've already got some of that stuff on film, but I don't think their overall preparation for North Carolina changes if he's quarterback. Now, I think Gio Lopez, they have to scout more because he is more of a leg guy. Mm-hmm. You know, he's 6 feet, 225 pounds, and he can bowl you over. He's a different kind of player. But I don't think Carolina's offense is going to be that much different with him as it would be with Max.
No, I don't.
Maybe a little more 5-step drop with Max, depending on if he's under center or not.
Yeah, they're different skill sets that you would probably cater to.
Max is 5 inches taller. They're both left-handed.
Yeah, it's a good point with them both.
I think the core of the offense will be the same.
Yeah, I agree. I want to hone in on something you just said because I think the quarterback. It feels like the quarterback position is again just something that is going to have to kind of continue to play out. I think when you bring in a guy like Gio Lopez, albeit I know he's not coming from like a P5 school or anything, but from a South Alabama, he's a starter there, had some good numbers. It feels like we've talked about it before. You're bringing him in to be the starter, but at this point, I can't sit here with 100% confidence and say that he's going to start against TCU. And I don't even know if the staff knows. I mean, it's hard to say because we just had limited access and haven't been able to see him that much. We haven't even seen Gio Lopez in a Carolina uniform yet. But
I've never seen him in person.
No, exactly. I mean, he's on campus, but that's about all we know. You talked about Max Johnson, and you said, you talked about penciling in him for something. Can you do that? And you kind of sparked in my head of like, Carolina's going into this situation this year where you can't really pencil in anybody in that quarterback room for anything, really. I mean, you know what Gio Lopez did at South Alabama. You know what Max Johnson has done pre-injury a couple years ago. And Bryce Baker is this kind of unknown quantity that he sure has a lot of talent, but is he ready to step in and, lead a North Carolina offense from, minute one? I don't know, TBD. And again, I think that's a worry. I think that's one of the concerns with this team is I keep saying it and kind of jokingly, football quarterback's a pretty important position. You kind of need to have that figured out. And Carolina's had some fantastic quarterbacks under Mac Brown and still didn't have great teams. I think Carolina has the potential to be a better overall team now with this staff and hopefully be a lot better defensively. But if you don't have that quarterback position figured out and it's something you're kind of having to work throughout the season, that's going to hold you back in a lot of ways. So just in terms of what Carolina has there right now, I'm not asking you if you're feeling good about it because you don't have stake in it. But if you're putting yourself in a guy like Bill Belichick's shoes or that someone on the staff who's running the offense kind of thing, are you sitting here feeling good about that quarterback position? Or are you kind of sitting here like there's some talent in there, but like, man, when it comes down to it, we don't really know what we're going to get when the season starts. Because that's kind of what side of the fence I sit on right now more than anything.
Yeah, I don't have the benefit of seeing what he's seeing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's hard for me to say in that respect. I'm going to give you a glass half full, glass half empty response here. Okay. So I'm going to do dual responses if you don't mind. The first is going to be glass half empty. You got a limping quarterback who's putting out videos to prove to people he can move.
It was a bad injury, AJ. But we know it's
he had 6 surgeries. He was in Minneapolis for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's
6 surgeries. Yeah, 6 surgeries. So it's terrible injury, and God bless him for the work he's done coming back. From my experiences around Max prior to the injury, unbelievable guy. And what an amazing story it would be, and an easy story to root for as a human. As much as anything else, is if he ends up having a good year and being able to contribute, that'd be an amazing story. Glass half empty, however, is he's not that guy and he's not going to be 100% ready. And they're just not going to be able to roll the dice with him. They think maybe sometime in August, and then all of a sudden they're thinking maybe sometime in September. Next thing you know, you're 2 weeks from Halloween and Max still can't get out there. And if something happens to Gio, you're going to Bryce Baker. And if something happens to him, you're going to Altari Newkirk. I think that's glass half empty. The other part of glass half empty is that Gio was a really nice player in the Sun Belt, but it doesn't transfer to the ACC. Mm-hmm. Now, well, I'm going to do glass half full in a second. That's part of it. He's only 6 feet tall.
Left-handed quarterback, which takes a little bit longer sometimes chemistry-wise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When we used to ask the receivers last year about getting used to Max, they said the ball spins different from a lefty. And so, this is all feel. This is all timing, the chemistry aspect of it, just the way the ball comes in. John Copenhaver talked about it a lot, and it was a considerable adjustment for him. Now their first now they have 6'5" left-handed, 6 feet left-handed. The ball has a different release point. It's different. If you know anything about baseball and pitching, one of the things that made Randy Johnson so great was because he was 6'10", and it was releasing the ball right in front of home plate, basically. So you're not going to pick up on it. So there's a lot of differences there. And then you have Bryce Baker, who has unbelievable potential. I mean, very realistically, this is his program down the road if he sticks it out. He's the quarterback of the future, and he's got all of the Drake May and Sam Howell qualities, all of them. He's the film room junkie that Jordan Shipp told us Tuesday that Bryce is already studying TCU.
That's what you want.
He's a film room junkie. He's a great athlete. He's very smart. He's got leadership qualities. There's an unflappable nature to him that's totally Sam Howell. There's a make a play happen when it doesn't seem there. That's totally Drake May. Sam had a lot of that too, but Drake was just on steroids with that, so to speak. He's got a lot of that stuff. And there are some people that think he could be better than those guys. I'm not going to go there until I see him do anything of significance. And I don't have Dina King in my ear telling me about how great Bryce Baker's going to be this good. She's not doing that like she did about Drake every day. Andrew, Drake's going to be the best athlete in the family. She was right. She was spot freaking on about that.
Right, absolutely.
Kudos to Miss King. So we don't really know. So glass half empty is true freshman could end up, and it could be a disaster. Even look at Peyton Manning as a true freshman when he finally took over for Hall of Famer Todd Helton, by the way, baseball Hall of Famer. You look at Gio might not transfer well, and Max Knight might not be healthy. That's glass half empty. Glass half full. Remember, Cam Ward was an incarnate word. Mm-hmm. He's not huge. And then look what he did at Washington State, and it transferred big time to the ACC, and look at where he was drafted. I'm not saying Gio Lopez is Cam Ward, but I'm saying he could be a guy that is even better because he's got more around him. Mm. I mean, South Alabama was an okay team. If North Carolina is a good team and he's better protected, maybe he's throwing more precision stuff instead of moving so much. Maybe the completion percentage goes up as a result. It's got much better collection of receivers at North Carolina than they had at South Alabama.
Yeah.
He's going against better defenses, but Carolina's got some dudes in that wide receiver room, big time. So I think that there's a chance that Gio Lopez could be really good, and could be. A lot of people thought he was one of the top quarterbacks in the portal, and Carolina got him for a couple million. Great deal. So that's glass half full with him. Glass half full with Max. He's healthy, and at the minimum, he's incredible insurance to have. Perhaps they go back and forth. They go for a while to see who wins the job.
It's not impossible.
Maybe they have enough wrinkles when Max is there as opposed to Gio, and vice versa, that they can throw teams off having to prepare for both. Maybe it's neither one of them, and maybe Bryce Baker is Sam Howell as a freshman. We all know what he did his first 2 games. Come from behind, win over South Carolina, come from behind, win over Miami, and a legend was born.
That's all it takes, yeah.
So that's why half full and half empty, half full.
No, I think that's a great way to put it. I agree.
Probably settles in somewhere in between, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's just something we're going to have to see how it kind of plays out during fall camp and throughout the off season, and obviously going into that TCU game. Because again, it's just it's a whole new staff. Haven't had a ton of access despite Tuesday. A lot of, only 52, they lost 52 scholarship players. This is a whole new look team. You got questions about Mac Johnson. You got a new guy in Gio Lopez and a talented freshman in Bryce Baker, but is he ready to go? We don't really know yet. This is just I think, fluid situation that even from a coaching staff perspective, is probably just going to have to continue to be played out. Because I would love to know, like off the record, like, hey, Bill, like if you had to play tomorrow, like who's starting? Do you feel good about it, or are you kind of like,
I'm sure that he would say, "Well, sit down for a moment. Let's have a chat."
Yeah, I'm sure he would. He just love to divulge.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking? No,
yeah, just love to divulge that information.
Now, Mac might give you a little bit more on that.
Yeah, I think you could probably get a little more out of Mac with that. I think, yeah, in the right setting at least. But
but Bill, we'll see. I would love to have that.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, half hour. Just give me a half hour in his office. That's all I ask for.
Pick his brain for a half an hour, yeah, just on the Carolina stuff, and even get a little bit longer. I'd love to pick his brain about some other stuff as well. But yeah, I don't know. Quarterback situation. It's important.
I'm not going to ask what. We ain't going. We're not. Now I know it's not about what people might be thinking, but
no. It would be interesting to. I'd love to ask him about Brady. Like, when did you know Brady was that guy? Like, stuff like that. I'm not talking about his personal life. I don't care about that anymore. But you know me, I'm over this. Oh, if I told you the last podcast, if I never have to talk about Jordan Hudson again, I'll die a very happy man. I don't need to talk anything.
People say that Belichick is happiest when he's just talking football. If you saw the interview with Dabo, you saw when Belichick really kind of lit up some.
You can tell he lives and breathes it. I mean, he does. I mean, I've been doing it as long as he has and be as successful as he has been with it. You got to be somewhat obsessed and, passionate about it. And I think Belichick obviously is. You can tell when he starts talking about that stuff. So, yeah, man, I'm intrigued. I want to hear from the people listening too. How do you foresee this situation kind of playing out? If you had a game next Saturday, who do you think would start for the Tar Heels? Who would you roll out there if you're Bill Belichick? Are you kind of sitting here like us being like, you kind of probably wouldn't be Max. He's probably not ready. And make a case for Gio, make a case for Bryce. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could look at it.
What is your September 1st, Monday night, national TV, Tar Heels run out of the tunnel in front of a full house. 1 through 3, what's the quarterback pecking order? We figure Newkirk will be 4th.
Gio, Bryce, Max. I think Max is 3rd. I think Max is kind of your insurance policy. I don't know if he's. I don't know enough if he's really going to be fully healthy by then. I mean, he got hurt in the first game last year around the same time. He had a horrific injury, like you said, 6 surgeries. I thought it would take longer than a year for him to get back. So he would be my 3rd.
I believe what I was told at the time by people in the program didn't think he'd ever return.
I know, that's why I'm shocked.
I'm going to go Gio, Max, Bryce.
Okay, I like that. Switch it up a little bit.
I think that at this point, they're confident enough that he's going to be able to help. And you might even see him on the field.
You're making a good case. It does. I never really thought about the angle until you brought it up of like, again, in Bill, this staff owes Max Johnson absolutely nothing. They don't. They didn't recruit him. They didn't bring him in. If it makes sense that why would you keep him around unless you actually think he's going to be able to play? Because if not, you're just wasting money and a scholarship on a guy who's.
Why would you roll into? Let's say he can't, and they know he can't. Why would you roll into a season with a guy from South Alabama, even though you might love him, a true freshman, and that's pretty much it? Because there's no way on earth that anybody thinks Torrey Newkirk.
Talk about risky.
Why would you roll into a season just thinking, okay, these are really our 2 quarterbacks?
Especially with the portal work Carolina's done, because they've done a nice job in the portal.
You'd have to be insane to do that.
It's a good point. Yeah.
Coaches have said for years, you need to have at least 4 scholarship quarterbacks that if they had to take a snap and deliver a short out pass in a pinch, that they can do that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it makes sense. And hopefully just for Max's sake, I hope he gets back to being fully healthy and can play, because, it was a horrific injury. And I think if he stays healthy last year, AJ, who knows what kind of conversation we've had now. I think things
they would have had a better season.
Similar, but they would have had a better season. There's no doubt about it.
He's better than what fans said. He didn't play well that night. He looked like crap that night. But he started getting it going a little bit in the 3rd quarter.
He did, yeah. He had a touchdown run too? It was a touchdown run he had early in that game?
They were down 14-13 when he went out. He went out with 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, you barely got to.
Connor Hill came in and did enough. He had that one play to, I guess, was it Caleb Hood? Was it?
I can't even. Maybe.
It was. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It was it JJ Jones?
It might have been actually. Let us know in the comments. I could go find it.
By the way, he should have gotten another year. He got screwed.
Yeah, I actually
some of the dudes that are getting extra time, he should have got another year. He's a good dude too.
Yeah, I'm glad he was in the Jaguars camp. I don't know what his situation is at now. I'm glad he at least got a shot at the next level because he has the
got a lot of skills. He fits the suit.
Yeah, man, it's just unfortunate. Yeah, unfortunately, to get another year. A lot of people getting other years for feels like no reason at all. It's like he had a significant case for it. Yeah, it's a shame. And he was around too. I mean, I saw him at the open practice, the spring game. He was there. I mean, I saw him at the Bill Belichick introductory press conference. I mean, he's been kind of staying around the program, but obviously just couldn't end up getting that other year, which that is unfortunate. It really is. But glad he was at least in NFL camp, and hopefully he gets a shot at playing at the next level because I do think he has the intangibles for
he's getting his shot.
Somewhere. Yeah, even if it's not in the NFL, I could see him playing in Canada or something like that. I think he's a guy that I could see doing some stuff, or maybe he'll be on ACC Network next year.
Well, he wants to get into broadcasting.
Yeah, maybe
he would be smart to play in the CFL if he can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even if playing that USFL, all those, if he wants to be a broadcaster and be an analyst and really and sink his teeth into a career, all those different experiences are just going to make him be more knowledgeable, and he'll have so much to bring to the table. So I hope he does. He'll be good. He's a sharp dude.
Yeah,
he's got a face for TV. He's got a personality for TV. He's smart. He's been there, done that. I think the game where they basically said, "Okay, you're a true freshman, but you're going to play now," was in Notre Dame Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like, okay, well, we're not putting the red shirt. We're not going to keep it on. I'm pretty sure that was the night I remember thinking to myself, well, JJ Jones is now part of the rotation.
Yeah. I do remember him being having a good night that night. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see how this quarterback position plays out. Appreciate y'all watching. It's a good place to wrap this one up. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. As I said, get involved in the comments. Want to hear from you guys. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and keep it locked to TarIllustrated.com. We'll, like AJ said in a few other podcasts, we got some things in the works, and we'll be announcing kind of what the next move is, hopefully before too long, but there's still, again, we got some things in the works.
And even if it's not in the next couple of weeks, just stay on our social media stuff. Yeah. You'll find out eventually.
Yeah. Twitter, Facebook, links below, YouTube, obviously. Make sure you subscribe to that. And we appreciate you guys as always. And we'll see y'all next time. Thanks.